Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Right, welcome to Whistleblowers Part 2, the bonus ball. This is the slightly smaller version, but equally punchy, with Mark Clattenburg, Ian Ladyman, and me, Gordon Smart, the B-Tech Des Lynham. Now, this week, boys, going to get straight in amongst it because Danny's got a great question. Thank you for this, Danny. He said, I saw this week they'd be trialling these new manager VAR cards, where a manager can hold up a card to request a video review of a decision, a bit like an appeal in cricket. Apparently it's a cheaper version of VAR, but for me it's an upgrade. Scrap VAR and use this instead. Do you guys think this is the future of refereeing or just another pointless attempt to fix VAR? Mark Clattenburg, what do you think?
But first of all, I think as a VAR, that FIFA and IFAB, who are controlling the technology in VAR, are trying to find ideas that are trying to improve the way it's run. So I think there was a big call from the working party within FIFA, Arsene Wenger and ex-players that sit on this committee to try and improve it. And one of the areas that they talked about was a challenge, a bit like what you have in other sports. So
like tennis.
Tennis. Yeah. But the player itself can make that challenge. And they decided, FIFA, that they would trial it in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, where a coach can use, was it a green card or a different coloured card, that they could show to the fourth official, and then the fourth official informs the referee that I would like to challenge that decision. What I like about it, there's negatives about it, and I'll talk about quickly about the negatives first before I go on to talk about the positives. The positive is, it takes out the inconsistency between the VAR and the referee and what's a clear and obvious mistake, a decision. Because if the manager challenges, the referee goes to the on-field monitor himself. He doesn't need another referee giving him another opinion, because it would only be an operator giving him the angles. So the referee at least sees it himself. He's not getting in his mindset, I've got to change the decision. I'm going with a clear mind. The manager has challenged it. I'm either going to stick with my original decision or I'm not. And I feel that there's less chance of, for example, a referee giving a decision on the field, the VAR saying it's not a clear and obvious error, and everybody's frustrated. Where it didn't work, and what I liked about it, but it didn't work in cricket, because there was still a little bit of controversy, but the controversy was put to the captain of Australia. If you remember in the Ashes, when Ben Stokes should have been given LB, but England went on to win the test. I think it was when it was the Stokes greatest inning, when they needed a lot of runs, and Stokes did again. But Stokes was out. The technology's proved Stokes was LB. The umpire didn't give it, but Australia's captain had run out of reviews.
Yes.
So all of the people put the ownership to the Australian captain, never blamed the umpire because he's used his challenge stupidly. What I'm thinking, what I'm hoping, it might change the mindset of all the frustration of everybody trying to blame the referee for everything, is the ownership goes to the manager, that if he feels that he's being wrong, then people's focus would be, it's your problem if you didn't challenge. Why did you not challenge? So I think there could be a little bit of a better reset for the criticism of refereeing. The only thing is, it'll be interesting as well, and I'm not trying to sell myself as a job, but if I was a club and you're going to use this system, a coach can be emotional on the touchline. If we look at Simeone, for example, he's emotional. He might not think in a very clear way. I think you're going to end up, if they do run with this, they're going to have an ex-referee, certainly behind the scenes, to give that input straight to the coach. Because if I'm watching a screen, I'm probably best positioned to go.
It's a new job for you, isn't it?
I'm not trying to sell myself a new job. But what I'm saying is, as an ex-referee, you're going to be in a better position to say, don't challenge that. Don't waste your challenge. And I think coaches would want that, because emotionally, they could just, emotionally say, I'm challenging that. And I have this in the Ballers League. The Ballers League, if anybody doesn't know what it is, it's a five-a-side competition, but it's played under different rules. So where you have game changers. But one thing you can do in that game, a manager can challenge. And the challenge for the stupidest things, but even the challenge, they don't even know the rules. So I've got to go in, the challenge, I go to the monitor and I say, sorry, he wasn't in an offside position because he wasn't over the attacking line. We move on. But they're allowed a challenge. And it actually stops the frustration that if I make such a huge error, it gives them the opportunity.
So for anybody who doesn't know, by the way, it's called FVS. So that might be the first time of hearing this a lot. Football Video Support. Card given to each opposing manager, one blue, one purple, can only be used by the manager themselves or another senior team official in their absence. Review requests can only be made immediately after the incident's occurred. Designed for use in competitions where matches are covered by up to 4 cameras. So that, you know...
What a fucking mess.
And
why on earth would
as with
we even
tennis
want
and
to think about
cricket,
it?
if a challenge is upheld, the manager would retain 2 challenges. If they lose, the challenge is lost. Ian, you look
Are you
angry.
just some kind of joke?
This is exactly it.
I love this. You see, I love the Ian Ladyman negativity again. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
There's one more line. Let me give you one more line, Ian. Right. FIFA states that the system is used only in the event of a possible, clear and obvious error or serious missed
Because you
incident
know how that goes.
in relation to the following scenarios: a goal or a no-goal decision, a penalty or no penalty decision, or direct red cards, not a second yellow. Kalina likes it.
I love it.
Kalina likes it, doesn't he?
My friend, you see.
See what he's done there? He's hitching his wagons to the big
Lena
man.
likes anything that'll keep him and his pals in his job.
This is interesting.
No, we're trying to... First of all,
Guys,
come on.
listen.
They're trying to improve the game.
Listen. I don't even know where to begin with it. Right.
Spoiled your piss, isn't it, this?
So, VAR, there's already far too much. I don't know anyone in the world who thinks that VAR has really worked, okay? I don't know anyone in the world who thinks that we want football matches to last any longer than they already do. I don't know anybody in the world who really, if they had the time again, would just go back to what we used to be. So I certainly don't know why on earth we would bring in another layer of this nonsense to undermine referees further, to give another reason for a football game to be stopped, to then reach a decision that people still can't agree on, even with 55 camera angles and 74 different speeds of replay. So VAR hasn't worked. Why are we going to bring another layer to it? And also, it would just be used tactically. So in Rugby League, for example, this season that's just finished, they introduced something called a Captain's Challenge.
Yeah.
You have 1 per game, so you can decide that you want to challenge a referee's call. Okay, it's not massively worked. What it has done is been used tactically, because Rugby League is a game of momentum. Football is also a game of momentum. We all know that.
Yeah.
When one team's got its blood up, got its wind in its sails. And this is proved, in Rugby League, is proved a very, very effective way of halting a team's momentum, to stop a game, to have a decision looked at for a minute, 2 minutes, and by the time the game starts again, everybody's adrenaline's gone down. So it would be used in a malevolent fashion by coaches. And where does it take us, Mark? We've already got...
Is it bad gamesmanship in rugby league, though? Does it affect... Does it change the...
I don't think it's... I think it's proved to be an accidental byproduct of the system. I don't think teams have been doing it on purpose.
Yeah, but talking time wasting in rugby league, I get that argument. You can change momentum, but football doesn't need that. No. Football just go down. The players just go down injured and change the same momentum. So we don't. What your argument? Yeah, but what
excuse it doesn't analyse decisions?
But you've made a good point. You made a good point about time, but it would actually improve time, because at the moment, right, we're seeing games stopped for a review. A silent review where the referee's clearly taken advice. It can go on 2 minutes and they keep with the original decision. That wouldn't happen. The game would flow more. I think you would have the passion back, because what you're then getting back, right, go back to the original. Take VAR away. Referees refereed football. The assistant referees made a judgment call, and most of the time they got it right. I just think because I had this technology in place, referees and assistant referees got lazy. They didn't want to make a decision anymore. So go back. They've got to make decisions again. But what I'm saying is, if there's 2 times or 4 times in a game, 2 challenges, 1 each half, that a coach can do, I think you'll have the emotion back. When you score a goal, you can actually celebrate. And it's only really when what we wanted VAR in originally was for one reason. Why was it brought in?
Well, to
For the
improve
Thierry Henry
Thierry Henry
handball.
handball, yeah.
Which cost Republic of Ireland a huge chance to be in a competition.
Yeah.
That's when everybody felt football was unfair. But we've took it from there to here. And while we're in this current environment, it's so unhealthy. We're stopping the game. We're looking at the minor details of a toenail being touched and debating it. That's not what football was about. Football wasn't to that level of scrutiny, but we've took it to that point. If we go back to a system, we've got to have technology in football because every other sport has technology. It works in other sports, but it doesn't work in football. So we've got to find a simpler way, a cheaper way, because we want everybody to use it around the world and it be consistent around the world. But we also want a basic system, a system which in the Premier League, the goal line technology works perfectly, except that match at Villa, Sheffield United after COVID. Take that to one side. But in general, goal line technology works. But when we look at the minor details, that's where we're frustrated. If we go back and we're allowed a one challenge where you think the coach goes, you know what, that's an absolute disgrace, then the game would be better for it. Last night, the Arsenal Atletico Madrid game, last night, we were both at the game. Would the managers have challenged anything yesterday? No.
Well, I think they would.
That's interesting.
They would if they could.
No, they would. No, Ian, they wouldn't waste for
would.
time. They wouldn't waste for time, even if they were looking for time.
In the hands of Jose
they just
Mourinho,
go,
for instance, it becomes a...
No, but I get a tactic.
The game,
no, I
doesn't
get
it?
a tactic. But even a tactic, right? They wouldn't want to use, and I'm going to put this out. A manager or a coach is not stupid enough to make a stupid challenge in the 80th minute, because he knows that challenge is gone. Even if you win or lose, you lose that challenge. It means he's got 10 minutes where there could be a scandal. The ownership would be back onto him.
Right.
They don't need to waste time in that way, because what do? The goalkeeper goes down injured. The goalkeeper needs treatment. He then gets up. You can change momentum in other ways.
My problem with it is it just doesn't feel like the game of football anymore. You're creating a new game.
You're not creating a new game. You're just creating a
blue
new
and
system.
purple cards.
You're creating a system because at the moment, Ian's just made a great point. Do you agree with VAR?
No.
Right. So nobody in this room agrees with VAR, but we have to have technology. But coaches still want the scandal decision to be put right. I think this could be, and I'm not saying the Under-20 World Cup is one chapter. There'll be other chapters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'll be in the World Cup, next year's World Cup. But I can see it coming for future more tournaments, and they'll keep trialing it to a point where maybe the Championship, who are crying out, by the way, for VAR, for the scandal decision, League One and League Two. Why shouldn't a League One team, who are fighting to get into the Championship for the money, 2 seconds in, for the money, not have a basic system? Because we're talking financially, VAR's huge.
It says 4 cameras. That's all they're
so
asking.
in most stadiums have the 4 cameras.
Yeah.
So if that's available and it's a very basic cost, I'm sure that'll be put across all of the professional leagues in England, and it gives the clubs a chance to put that scandal decision right. Because I remember Nottingham Forest when they were trying to get promoted into the Premier League.
Yep.
There was an offside given at Bournemouth. It was a scandal. That potentially could have cost Nottingham Forest being promoted because of that offset, but they didn't have the technology.
But we've already.
Why would you not have it in place?
But VAR,
Sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it would make sense. I get you.
But the use of VAR has already told us that VAR doesn't solve or eliminate scandal decisions. We still get scandal decisions.
I don't think you get scandal. I don't think you get scandal.
You don't get Thierry Henry's handball.
That's a scandal.
Fine. Yep. But you still get big decisions wrong.
Name one big decision this season that I'm not talking. It's subjective.
The Tottenham Liverpool one from 2 years ago.
Oh no, that's
it was a scandal decision. And VAR got it wrong.
Yeah, but that was because he was sleeping from Dubai on the flight.
Okay, so there you go.
So there's human error.
No, but that was too easy. What I'm saying is, that's one.
VAR
but I'm not talking.
Hasn't done what VAR was supposed to do, which was to make football perfect. We just need to accept it. And managers on the touchline waving yellow, red, purple, green and spotted handkerchiefs in the air isn't going to lead us to a perfect world.
No, we're not.
Either.
I agree
we
with
just
that.
need to realise it. Football doesn't need any more alterations, interruptions than it's already got.
I think it'll reduce the interruptions by referees not
That's an
having to be under
interesting take on
pressure
it, yeah.
to make checks when they don't need to make checks. I think if there's no checks made, then the game can flow. I want to have the FA Cup that I saw 2 seasons ago, where I absolutely loved watching football again. And I knew when a goal was scored and the player ran away, he looked across at the assistant, the flag stayed down, and you know what? The emotion came back again.
Yeah.
If he was miles offside, or he was quite a way offside, you could easily put a message down to the coach, challenge it. Yeah? The quick look, if I can see it in real time, because I was watching the game in real time and I go, it's clearly off, because I'm trained to see it. You could challenge it.
You know what
But
I
we're
think's
talking the
amazing?
middle schools ones, you wouldn't even have the technology to look
What
at
I
it.
think's amazing is how many, particularly offsides, how many offsides linesmen or assistant referees, whatever you want to call them, actually get right. Right? They always get it in the net, forget. When you look at some, say the Cody Gakpo goal equaliser for Liverpool against Man United, I'm watching it at home with my dad, and I'm like, oh, that's offside. He's offside. He's offside. He's a yard offside. I don't know why they're celebrating he's a yard offside. And they show it, he's actually about 3 inches onside. For a lot, and that happens all the time. And linesmen get these right they do occasionally get them wrong. It's amazing how often they get them right. We spent a lot of time last week talking with Felix from the Maccabees about judgments and how...
His eyes lit up there.
Yeah.
His eyes lit up, puppy dog eyes.
He's still not called me. But we talked a lot, didn't we, about kind of how things can happen in slow motion in sport and how in cricket
down,
and how things slow down. And nothing slows down for an assistant referee. And it's incredible how many of these decisions that they get right. And all we ever do is hammer them for the ones that they get wrong.
Just quickly. He's showing his age. They're not linesmen, they're assistant referees. That's point one. But you know what? And I've done these tests. I'm going to give them some praise, because I'm telling you now, being a referee was easier. Being an assistant referee and the movement, when the ball's kicked, you're looking and you know what?
Incredible.
The training that they do is incredible. Really? How they see. And if a normal person can get the chance.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to have a go.
No,
It's
a horrible feeling when you're watching youth football and somebody says, can you run the line? You're like, oh,
you know what you think? And I've done it.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah. When you see it in Sunday morning's a bit different to Premier League because the movement's a lot quicker. But when you think, right, what you see out your eyes isn't the reality. You're actually going to go probably fractions of a second earlier and you think, well, that player looks just offside. He's about 2 meters onside. And you think, wow. And that the hardest one for assistants, the hardest one for assistants is the opposite way, where they used to get wrong, is the ones that start from an offside position and come back onside because they're not trained. It's harder to train that because when they think, oh, that looks just offside, it's clearly offside because they've come from the opposite way.
When I was a young man, just believe it or not, I once was. I spent a summer working on a children's camp in America, teaching kind of sport, tennis and football and all the rest of it. And it was quite a well-to-do camp. The kids were dumped there all summer by the rich American parents while they went off around Europe. So there's a lot of money spent to have these kids on this camp, good facilities. And one of the highlights of the summer was inter-camp games. So kids from another camp would come and they'd play games against your camp. And of course, soccer was a big part of that. And I refereed, and I'm not exaggerating. My performance as a referee, my decisions were deemed to be so poor, that the opposition, it's just a game between kids, right? The opposition camp took the kids off and took them home. Actually took them home.
You know what, he's bringing back memories. When he talks about poor performance as a ref. I used to get that all the time.
I bet he's never had a team take the ball home. They went home.
I remember one game, managers, right, used to mark you out at 10. And that used to have some weight, to get promoted. So you had the assessor in the stadium. He would mark you. And also clubs used to mark you. So not that you had to rely on club marks, but there was some part of the element for promotion. And I did a playoff game. And it was Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United. And Sheffield United won the first leg. I think it was 1-0. I think I gave them a penalty. Sent off Michael Dawson of Nottingham Forest. Mr. Maranakis must have heard about this game in Forest. And at the end of the game, Neil Warnock came into the dressing room. And he said, congratulations. He said, I thought that you refereed excellently. I said, yeah, because you won up. He said, no. He said, the decisions are correct. But he says, the way you managed the game under a hostile environment for a young referee is credible. He says, congratulations. He says, by the way, he says, I'm going to mark you 0. I said, what, you're going to mark 0? He said, yeah. He says, because if you get promoted to the Premier League, they'll spoil you. I want to keep you in the Championship.
Just take you back to something that you said on the previous show, Mark, that kind of sped by. Did you say that referees who make mistakes and VAR officials who make mistakes lose money?
Yeah. You run a bonus system. So part of your salary, you're salaried, so you receive like a salary like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like you receive a fixed salary. Then you receive so much per game. And then you receive a bonus at the end of the season based on, there's a few things. One, certainly under Mike Riley, who was a boss when I was a referee, some of it was you go to speak at referee associations around the country. That was one part of the element. The other one was about performance. And I think that's a massive thing. I think referees should be some salary should be based on performance, because if you're not performing very well, then for me, there should be a slight punishment. A, you lose matches, which is important. You won matches, and 2, you should perform at the highest level when you're doing. And referees, if for example, one of them will be punished, whatever paid him well, think of the decision. One of them will be punished, like some part of their salary based on, because one is clearly wrong. One is clearly wrong.
No, I don't think I've ever really thought of it in those terms.
It's not like Darren England's helped to get the decision right. Somebody has made that decision wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd thought of it in those terms. That's all. I suppose, yes, I knew there was performance-related pay, but I don't think I thought of it as as kind of in a...
Yeah, but in this one, it's unique. So if Darren England highlights to Jared, whoever you want to call him, the Australian, then if Jared put that decision right, then the decision overall is either correct. PGML would support it, of course they would. But one of them has decided it's a red card, the other one said yellow. So somebody's wrong. Somebody's going to get not punished with matches, because it's not such a... It's a very subjective decision.
Count towards our end of season assessment. That's what you're saying.
We know now that we're in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Now, we all know the real pros want to spend as much time on the job as possible rather than kicking around in store, don't they?
Exactly. And with Wix Trade Pro, you save 10% every time you shop in store or online. No minimum spend. That's like a guaranteed 3 points every week.
VAR's checked it, and it's true.
Right, and here's the real time saver. Wix Click and Collect, order online, you head straight to collect in store, grab what you need, and you're back on site before half-time. How about that?
Which allows you more time to get the job done.
Download the Wix Trade Pro app today, sign up, simple as that.
Terms and conditions apply.
Right, lads, time for football from the inside out. My turn this week to ask Ian a question, and I'm going to dig back into the day's newspapers. One of the worst things that could happen, Mark, as a reporter, is where you decide to either hold a story thinking, right, we'll keep that for Monday, or we'll keep that for the Sunday paper. Another newspaper breaks it. It's horrible. And we would call it, missing a story, or, holding something and it hurts you. So, Ian, what's the biggest story you missed? You had it, but you didn't publish it. Is there one that hurts you?
Excuse me. Very simple. It came to my mind straight away when you mentioned it pre-show, actually. 2018 World Cup. I was at a game in St. Petersburg. I think it was Brazil. I was sitting in the press box, maybe during the first half, maybe, and I get a message from a mate of mine.
A mate or a contact?
Both. Well, both actually.
Yeah.
But the difference was that he wasn't a contact that I would expect to have knowledge on the tip-off that he gave me.
Right.
He probably just... I probably still got it on my phone. He messaged me and said, "Hi, mate, Ronaldo to Juventus." That's all it said. At the time, Ronaldo was playing for Real Madrid and was still pretty much... so this was 2008, just 7 years ago. Should have been 33. So pretty much not quite the peak of his powers, but still a significant player. So the thought of Ronaldo leaving Real Madrid to go anywhere was a pretty big deal. And I'm like, what's that message? So I messaged him back. I said, "Do you know this? Or have you just seen this on the internet or something?" You know what I mean? "You know this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've been told that this will happen." So I'm just like, right, that sounds a bit of a Why would Ronaldo make that move? There's several things about that don't add up. I'm in the middle of covering a football game at a World Cup, so I'm going to do this game.
I'll look into it,
and then I'll get into that, because I don't know how I'm going to get into it, but I'll try. Do the game, blah blah blah, and eventually, probably back at the hotel that night, I definitely messaged one person on our staff and said, "I've had this tip. Came in the middle of the game. It sounds far-fetched. Let's get into it in the morning." My colleague came back and said, "Yeah, doesn't sound right to me, but we'll get into it in the morning." Happened the next day. Happened the next fucking day.
Oh, man.
Happened the next day.
Yeah.
And of course, Ronaldo, were Portugal at that World Cup? I don't know. I presume they were. I can't remember. But it's one of them. It's like, because it's Ronaldo, in old money, in old language, that's about, even though it's in the middle of a World Cup, that is a back page lead, splash, exclusive. Because it's Ronaldo, and it's Real Madrid. And, and
English clubs were probably looking at him at the same time.
I just didn't see how my contact,
would have
who
known.
actually listens to this podcast, so he'll be hearing this thinking, "Yeah, and Wally." I just thought, how would he know that? That's not what the world that he operates in football. How does he know that? And he obviously did, and it was right. And it kills you, because there's one thing being beaten to a story and thinking, shit, I should have known that because I've got that contact, or I cover that club, or we've all been there. In the old days, I mean, I first moved to Manchester. Don't let me go too far off track here, pull me back. But I moved to Manchester in 2000 to cover Man United. I'd only been there a matter of weeks, or that's how it felt, when the Beckham-Fergie boot in the face story broke, okay? So for those who don't remember, United lose a game to Arsenal at Old Trafford. Fergie loses a plot in the dressing room, kicks a football boot, flies across the room, hits David Beckham.
Neil Custis?
Neil Custis' story for The Sun, exclusive, right? Back in the days when the internet was still not doing what it does now. So you only knew if you'd missed a story when it landed in the first edition of the newspapers at 10:30 that evening. That was the worst week of my professional life by a mile. I'd only been in Manchester for what felt like a matter of weeks. I didn't have contacts. I didn't know my arse from my elbow.
You're getting battered.
I got battered every day, because then there were follow-ups, there were this and there were that. I had my arse handed to me on a plate every single day. But when that happens, it's horrendous. You don't sleep. Well, if you care about your job,
Get the best follow, get the best follow,
you feel useless. You feel that everybody's judging you, and they are. You feel that your rivals are laughing at you, and they are. And you've got to see these guys.
Yeah.
Neil's a friend of mine, still a friend of mine now. I just see him that Friday at the next Fergie press conference and sit there and listen to Fergie talk about it, knowing all the while that I'd been nowhere near it. So that's one way of missing a story, and that happens, okay? Thankfully, there haven't been many weeks like that. That happens. And there are times where you think, fucking hell, someone just did better than you on that occasion. But when you've got a story, you go back to Ronaldo, when you've got a story in your lap, and you've got an open goal, and you don't tap it in, then you're
Is there a risk that's wrong?
Well, that's it, Mark. Mark, that's it.
Is it what,
Mark,
you've just hit a high.
That is it.
You've hit a high, like Neil Custis hit a high, that he's got something that everybody wanted. A bit like refereeing. It's a bit. I can say the analogies. How does it feel if you did a story and it's completely wrong?
Right. So that's it, Mark. So that's the thing with the Ronaldo one. There's a school of journalism that I know Gordon doesn't subscribe to, and I certainly don't, right? That if you throw enough mud at the wall, at some point a bit of it'll stick. Right? And now I'll be honest, there have been over the years, not many, there have been some football writers who operated on I'm sure there's some showbiz writers and news writers who operate. Oh, well, no one will remember the ones that were wrong, but if one of those is right, then I might win an award. So I've always been too far the other way. I've always spent far too much time shit scared of getting something wrong, okay, and having to live it down. I could have looked at that Ronaldo thing and thought, right, come on, let's just go with this. Because if it's wrong, we're in the middle of a World Cup, and if it's wrong, nobody will be talking about it in 3 days' time, because Neymar will have scored a hat-trick against Argentina, and who'll be talking about that story that was on the back of the mail that didn't. But if it's right, it's a banger. I just don't work like that, and I've never worked like that. I've never worked like that. The mistake I made was I should have said, right, we need to get this tonight. I don't care if it's 10 o'clock. We need to get this tonight. And if we can't get it tonight, then we know we've given out. And I didn't. What I said was, let's all go to bed and work on it tomorrow. And
but then we had a Craig Hope on the podcast who worked through the night with his family in a professional way. Known Isaac wasn't on the flight to the Middle East or to the Asia.
Wait, so what's the point? Hang on.
What were you doing?
Should we just have cards on the table here? So let's rewind. What Mark should have said was, we had Craig Hope, brackets, who wrote my autobiography.
And mine.
No, that's what I mean. Yours. That's what I mean. Let's declare.
Right, Ian.
You're going to start bigging up my colleagues. Let's declare your interest before you do so.
Ian, I put you in the same. You just weren't available to do me autobiography.
There we go.
Good answer.
So, and there is one more, but we've probably not got time for it. That'll do.
What a brilliant answer.
Good story. Yeah, you missed the Ronaldo story. Thanks, boys. Good to see you. And we'll be back again next week. Please get in touch if you've got a question like Danny did today. Get in touch on our email, whistleblowers@dailymail.com. And of course, give us a follow on all the socials. Right, Mark? It's probably forgotten. I don't know why I even ask him. Would you mind blowing the first time?
Where's Felix? Bring back Felix.
Thank you very much for watching Whistleblowers. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, episodes every Thursday and Tuesday. And on a Sunday, you'll get our clip of the week.